Hey there, everybody. It's Ellen Weatherford.
And Christian Weatherford.
And this is Just the Zoo of Us, your favorite animal review podcast where we rate your favorite animals out of 10 in the categories of effectiveness, ingenuity, and aesthetics.
We are not zoological experts, but we try to bring the best and most correct information we can.
What have we been up to recently that we can banter about?
Well,
I welcomed a plague into our house.
Mm-hmm.
I brought a pox into our abode. I got strep again, and then I gave it to Christian. So
yeah.
We've been fighting demons over here in the Weatherford house. But you did get to go to PAX this weekend.
Yes.
I didn't get to go because I had strep, so I stayed home. But
yes.
Christian did not yet have strep at that point. So Christian got to go. How was PAX?
PAX was fun. Took the kiddos around, saw video game things.
For those unfamiliar, PAX West is a very large general gaming sort of, because they do video games and tabletop games and stuff. It's a big convention that they do in Seattle every year. I got to go last year. It was really, really fun. Wanted to go this year. Was too sick to go. Got
to try out the Switch 2. That was neat.
I got my eye on it. Not yet. I'm holding back. I'm playing hard to get with the Switch 2. The timing's not right. I'm just not ready to commit yet.
We're
in our talking phase with the Switch 2.
I ran across some speculation that a Yakuza remake is coming out for the Switch 2.
Oh, before that, I did go hiking with my sister, and I saw, much to my extreme excitement, an animal that I had not seen before, at least had not noticed, and it is the topic of next week's episode.
Oh.
And during that conversation with the guest, which I had already recorded, I recorded it like months ago, I mentioned that I really wanted to see one. And my guest was like, you have them where you live. Look, next time you're hiking, I bet you'll find one. And I did. And I lost my mind.
So what is it?
I'm not going to spoil it.
What?
I'll tell you, and I'll use a fun sound to bleep it out for the listener.
Okay.
It was So stay tuned next week to find out what cool animal it was that I saw on my hike this week. Or if you're in our Discord, you already know, because I was absolutely geeked and I could not keep those photos to myself. But for this week, that's not what we're talking about this week. I have a really fun and exciting animal to talk about this week.
What you got?
This week I'll be talking about the Bigfin Squid.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what this is?
I do. I showed you a meme about one not too long ago.
Oh,
actually.
really? What was it?
It was like a little web comic about what someone does as their day job or like a new job they had. I'm thinking of the right one, right?
This has been wiped from my memory completely. I have no recollection of this.
The Bigfin Squid is the deep sea found by the oil drill.
Yes, yes.
Looks like it's out of Subnautica.
Yes, it's so spooky and creepy looking.
Okay.
Yeah. Bigfin squid belong to the genus Magnapinna, which means big fin. Not a lot of creativity there.
All right.
Now, just as a quick note, there are some very small squids that are found in sort of like coastal reefs, like shallow waters. They're also called bigfin squid, but that's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about Magnapinna, big deep sea squids.
Okay.
These were submitted by Esper Zelaya and Matthew Johnston.
Nice.
And I'm sorry for anyone who may have requested the bigfin squid a very, very long time ago. This is one of those animals that I've wanted to talk about for a really long time, but I was always unsure of. There's so little known about them. This is a deep sea creature, and something we run into a lot with animals in the deep sea is that we just don't know very much about them. They're so mysterious and there's so little known about them that I wasn't sure if I could make a whole segment out of it. And yet here I am making not just a segment, but an entire episode about them.
So I'm guessing there were recent developments?
No?
Because it did seem like that one video was the only thing out there about them, really.
No, there are multiple videos of them.
Okay.
I actually have in my notes a section on that video specifically because that video that you're thinking of, the green spooky one, that is by far the most famous one.
Okay.
But there are very many videos of them. It's just that's the one that is most well known. It's not even the best video of them. It's just the one most people know.
The spookiest.
I think it's because it's not the best video. We have much crisper and clearer videos of them.
Yeah.
But that's not what you want from that video. That's not like
Well, it makes you wonder how clear did it start, and then how much is that from being deep fried from...
True. You can actually, I found online while I was researching this, like a basically direct upload of like the original file.
Wow.
So it's like the best quality you can get from it. I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself because I do have a section in my notes for that video specifically. But if you've seen that spooky green tinted video of a big scary looking squid in the deep sea, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm getting my information from the Ocean Conservancy as well as NOAA and a ZME Science article by Sheila Olympos, as well as some other fun little sources that I'll cite as they come up. So as I mentioned, there are little squids called the Bigfin squid, but this one is not one of them. A Magnapinna squid can reach a total length. Would you like to guess what their total length can be?
20 feet.
You're really, really close, actually. You're actually a little... So they can be up to 23 feet long, which is 7 meters long. For just a visualization of that kind of size, that is the maximum size for a Class B motorhome or a camper van. If one was just kind of upended and drifting through the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
You can't park here.
No. But this is one of those long but very skinny.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the majority of that length is spaghetti noodles. So it's not really very much mass to it. The mantle of the squid, which when you're looking at a squid, you can kind of divide it into like mantle and like limbs, right? So arms and tentacles and stuff. And the mantle is the part of the body that I guess we would think of it as being analogous to our head. Yeah. But if it would be like if our head had all of our organs inside of it, because it's all their stuff is in there, with their sort of eyes and beak at the bottom, and then all of the arms and tentacles sprouting out of the bottom. Mm-hmm. So the mantle part, which is where like the organs and stuff are, is only about like 10 inches long, like 10 to maybe 2 feet max.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's really not very much squid.
Did you happen to have a weight or a mass to share?
No, I don't have a weight. These things are not very common. First of all, they're not commonly seen. Yeah. And even fewer of those observations resulted in collections, right? Like collecting the specimen. So we don't know very much about these squids. It's a lot of mysteries. But, you know, because I was reading about this, I was like, wow, up to 23 feet long total. That is really, really big. I was wondering if it's the biggest one.
Biggest what?
Biggest squid.
Oh, okay.
It is not. The largest cephalopod, the giant squid, is documented at estimated sizes of up to 43 feet or 13 meters. And about half of that length is actually mantle. Right. So it's not just like, yeah, they're 43 feet long, but it's a whole bunch of spaghetti noodles.
Yeah, this one probably weighs like as much of as a basketball.
I thought you meant the giant squid.
No.
And I was like, at least as much as a basketball. Likely more.
Yeah.
So yeah, the giant squid is not only longer, but also has much more sort of heft to it.
Yeah, it's beefy.
Hey there, it's me editing this episode. I wanted to clarify something really quick. The giant squid's title as largest cephalopod is only in terms of total length, and it is based on estimates of their maximum total length with all of their tentacles included, even though they usually keep their feeding tentacles retracted. But going by weight, the record for largest cephalopod actually goes to a different species, the colossal squid, which has slightly shorter maximum length estimates, but is much bulkier and has been measured at over 1,000 pounds. Both of them absolute units. Just wanted to give the colossal squid their much deserved credit. Okay, back to the episode. And just a little side tangent on the giant squid, because I do find them interesting. Because I was wondering, I was like, how do they know, right? Because they're so elusive. It was kind of like, for the longest time, it was like one of those clickbaity sort of like no one's ever seen a giant squid, or like no one had ever seen like an adult giant squid in the wild. They were finally like an adult one was like filmed, or a live one was like filmed in the wild in like 2007 or so. Right. So we have a good bit of footage of them. But I was wondering, like, how do they know how big they can get? Do you know how they know how big they can get?
I'm pretty sure we talked about it.
Oh, yeah, probably you did. Would you like to share with the class?
Was it from the contents of sperm whale stomachs?
It is. Now, do you know what part of the squid is found in the sperm whale stomach?
Ooh.
There's only one part.
Oh, well, the beak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when a sperm whale like washes up on the beach or something, and scientists are able to examine the contents of his stomach, sperm whales are the sort of number one op of the giant squid. And so when they find beaks inside of the sperm whale stomach, they're able to extrapolate from the size of the beak. They'd be like, well, if the beak is this size, the rest of the squid must have been this size.
Right, right. And you also see suction cup marks on them.
Yeah, ooh, the hickey of death.
For one of them.
Do you think Kraken stories are how like old-timey sailors would explain hickeys on their bodies to their wives?
No.
And they were like, it was a Kraken. I just think it's a funny mental image to imagine a sailor like coming home from a voyage at sea covered in like hickeys, and his wife being like, what's this all about? And he's like, well, you see, there's a giant squid monster that was big enough to attack our ship, and it wrapped its tentacles around me, and that's how I got all these suction marks all over my body.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Let me have fun. Now, giant squids are a good example of a concept called deep sea gigantism. You heard of this before?
No, I don't think so.
I know you have, because we talked about it on our episode of giant isopods.
Oh, not Megalodon?
No, I don't think we talked about it with Megalodon.
Probably not.
Because, like, a lot of sharks are big.
Yeah.
So the idea of deep sea gigantism is that there are a lot of examples of species that are found in deep sea environments that tend to be, like, orders of magnitude larger than their closely related, like, cousin species that aren't found in the deep sea.
Right.
So an example of this would be giant squid, right? There's, like, the giant squids that live in the deep sea are bigger than more coastal squids, but also giant isopods or spider crabs, right? A lot of times when you see, like, the biggest example of, like, a group of species, it's because they live in the deep sea. I find that stuff really interesting. If you're curious and you want to learn more about deep sea gigantism, I went into a little bit more detail on it in our giant isopod episode, and that was number 156.
All right.
I don't think that the bigfin squid is a good example of deep sea gigantism because the body is not really super big.
Right.
Like, it has an impressive total length, but the actual sort of body itself, it's not like metabolically large. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the deepest sighting of a bigfin squid was made by a team of explorers from Caladan Oceanic. And this is a private undersea exploration and technology company. And they, in 2021, were searching the Philippine Trench. And they were looking for the wreckage of a destroyer ship called the USS Johnston. So this was a U.S. Navy destroyer ship that sank during World War II. The ship's wreckage had been, like, spotted, but it hadn't been confirmed that it was this ship. So they were trying to send, like, ROVs and stuff down into the Philippine Trench to see if they could get evidence to confirm it was the Johnston. They need pictures of, like, vessel numbers and stuff like that.
Sure.
They actually ended up finding the ship on a separate dive a few days later. So they did, like, multiple dives. So on this dive where they saw the bigfin squid, they did not find the shipwreck. It was a few days later. But during this dive, they recorded video of a young bigfin squid hovering just over the seafloor at a depth of 20,300 feet.
Wow.
Which is 6,200 meters. That is nearly 4 miles below the surface of the ocean. So deep in this trench. And they see this little squid just floating, just vibing, chilling out down there.
So is it normally positioned in the way I'm imagining, where, like, mantle top, tentacles trailing downward?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and there's a specific reason for that.
Okay.
But that is their typical, like, sort of neutral idle pose, I guess.
Okay.
So this is by far the deepest recorded squid, and it's roughly tied for deepest cephalopod with Dumbo octopuses, which have been found at pretty similar depths in the Java Trench. So it seems like cephalopods are just making themselves at home deep in these 20,000 foot deep trenches.
Yeah, their anatomy must be good for the pressure and such.
It makes sense, right? Because their bodies are mostly soft, not a lot of hard structures on their body. So they can withstand that pressure without like either popping or snapping.
Yeah, no air pockets or anything.
Yeah. So they seem to make themselves right at home down there.
Huh.
Magnapinna represents its own both genus and family. So they're taxonomically pretty distinct, which means that they're very only pretty distantly related to other types of squid. They are a squid, but they're like, really sort of the black sheep of the family, I guess. And there's a lot of differences that I'll talk about later between Magnapinna and most other squids. They have some really, really interesting adaptations. As a squid, they belong to the class Cephalopoda, with things like cuttlefish, octopuses, and nautilus.
Oh.
And cephalopods are mollusks, like snails and slugs.
Okay.
Which we've mentioned a few times on this podcast, but you never know. Maybe someone hasn't heard that before.
Yeah.
If this is anyone's first time listening to this podcast, our first category we rate animals on is effectiveness, which are physical adaptations, things built into the animal's body that let them do a good job of the things that they're trying to do. And I'm giving the Bigfin Squid a 9 out of 10 for effectiveness.
Wow.
I think they have really taken a lot of liberties, a lot of artistic license with the squid body plan to survive in, a really, really harsh and demanding environment. Like I mentioned earlier, there have been very few sightings and even fewer collected specimens. So not a lot is known. A lot of the stuff is hypothesis. A lot of the stuff is like, this is what we think it's for. This is what we think it does. That being said, they are obviously very, very different. You can look at them and you can tell that they are extremely different from most other types of squid. So most other types of squid are sort of like little missiles, little underwater missiles. They're very fast. They're agile predators. They're all about seeing their prey, chasing it, and catching it, right? So like those tentacles that they have, the long sort of grabbing tentacles, are made to grab prey from a distance and bring it closer to them, right?
Yeah.
So that's what most squids do. And this squid is having none of it. The Bigfin squid is like, I don't think I'm going to be doing all that. That's a lot of running around. I don't feel like doing that. So a lot of these adaptations are so that the squid can survive in this depth range that is called the hadal zone. Have you heard of the hadal zone?
Yes, I have. It's referenced in No Man's Sky.
Why? Why do they reference it?
Oh, you must. Okay.
I haven't played since launch. So.
Right. They have underwater areas now.
You can go that deep in it?
I mean, they call it that, but it's,
Okay. They don't. I played Subnautica recently,
right.
And they don't even really have truly a hadal zone in Subnautica.
Yeah.
You may have heard of the sort of zones of the ocean being the epipelagic, which is like the sunlight zone where it's close to the surface, you get a good bit of light. Then there's the mesopelagic or the twilight zone where light is starting to dim a little bit. Not a lot of light is passing through. The bathypelagic zone is the midnight zone where almost none of the light is getting through. And then the abyssopelagic zone or the abyss zone. And that's like the bottom, like the absolute bottom of the ocean. Well, there's actually one more zone below the abyssopelagic zone. It's called the hadopelagic zone, and this zone contains habitats deeper than 6,000 meters or 20,000 feet, which typically those depths only occur in trenches.
I see.
So like the abyssopelagic zone is kind of where you'll see like typically the bottom of the ocean, and when it dips down into a trench, that's when you get the hadal like depths.
Where does the word hadal come from?
I'm so glad you asked. Hades.
Ah.
Yeah, like the underworld.
Okay.
Yeah, it's such a cool name.
Yeah.
I love the names for things in the deep sea because you've got like the abyss, the hadal zone. Like everything sounds so cool.
James Cameron Gorge.
He's been down there.
Yeah.
So there's a few environmental demands of a depth that is this deep. This habitat comes with some really pretty extreme conditions. So first of all, like you mentioned, because of all of the water weighing down on you from the water column above, there is extremely high pressure. This is pressures that would implode you immediately. This is Coke can crumpling pressure.
Worth mentioning, I forget what episode we talked about this in, But those pressures are a bigger deal when you're talking about pressure differentials.
Right. So our body is used to exerting a certain amount of pressure outward in order to make up for the pressure inward on us. So at the depths of the ocean, our body is not putting out enough outward pressure to withstand the inward pressure. So we would be crumpled up into a little teeny tiny.
Well, specifically the lungs.
Oh, right. We also have air pockets in there that aren't don't respond well to being squeezed very much.
What was it? We were talking about diving bells. Was it the spider?
Maybe it was the diving bell spider, because you were talking. That's what we were talking about, diving bells.
Maybe. Yeah.
So yeah, extremely high pressure is one thing that life has to adapt to down there. Another thing is that since zero sunlight can reach this zone, so there is literally no light other than if you have like a bioluminescent creature. So literally the only light you can see around you is coming from other living organisms.
Or I guess when one of our drones go down there and just blah.
Yeah. So often when you see like an animal in the deep sea, they're just like,
what is this?
Yeah.
Stop it.
They've never been exposed to this much light before. So they're like, what? Get out of here.
I wonder if any of them just straight up don't have eyes, so it doesn't make a difference to them in the first place.
A lot of them are like, this is nothing to me. It is also extremely cold due to the lack of sunlight. So in order to live here, an organism has to be extremely specialized, leading to really, really drastic adaptations and giving us these bizarre alien-looking creatures. And they kind of are alien in the sense that they have adapted to different like planetary conditions from us, like different geologic conditions. They've adapted to like what is basically functionally a different planet from us. They would not be able to survive on our planet, and we cannot survive on their planet. It's both planet Earth, but functionally two different planets.
Right.
So I think that is what is very alluring about a lot of deep sea creatures, is that they're just so alien, which is fantastic.
I just remembered why I was thinking about this more recently.
Why?
Because of that Dungeons and Dragons game that I played probably a month or two ago.
Was there one of these in there?
No, I've more so around thinking about the deep sea pressure stuff because of that one D&D adventure where that has you go to the bottom of the ocean.
Was it a steampunk sort of like Jules Verne?
No, it was a cast some magic, swim down manually, fight some water elementals, and then this really cool sulfur dragon.
What a bold way to have your explorers explore the deep ocean, is to just cast a magic spell on them to be like, because then there are so many layers of protection that magic needs to be putting work into. Like it needs to be protecting you from temperature, protecting you from pressure, giving you oxygen, like.
And there were a lot of things in that adventure that had dispel magic.
No! Imagine something casts dispel magic on you and you just immediately are vaporized into a fine mist.
Which would be accurate, but for, balance and enjoyment reasons, it was more of you suffocate in a couple rounds if you don't fix this quickly.
You were a kind and merciful DM.
Well, wasn't my design. But.
Right. Christian's like, I would have vaporized him. So yeah, Magnapinna squids have a lot of adaptations that are actually seen in other deep sea animals. So things like having a lot of their body being translucent or very, very pale, right? Pigment is doing nothing for you down here. Right. There's no light. Why bother expending the metabolic energy to produce a pigment when it's not, nobody can see you anyway. It's not going to help. Yeah. Some of the ones that are caught on camera do actually have some pigment to them. Their body might be kind of like a brown color, but a lot of their body is either translucent or very, very pale, just because who cares? Right. Why bother making a pigment down there? They have very, very large eyes. Most of what they're going to be seeing down there is going to be bioluminescence, right? Like their eyes are massive, but that's because they're just trying so desperately to grab whatever photon they possibly can. Right. Because the nearest thing producing light could be miles away down here, right? Like very, very large sensitive eyes, which a lot of squids actually have very large eyes. I want to say squids have like some of the biggest eyeball size to body like length ratio in like the entire animal kingdom. Like dinner plate sized eyes, I think. Yeah, like huge, huge eyes. Yeah. As we mentioned, they have a lot of delicate, soft structures on their body, not a lot of hard structures. You see this in fish that live in the deep sea, where rather than having a lot of rigid, strong bones or armor plating or stuff, that stuff is going to snap down here. It can't handle the pressure. So they're very soft. They're very flabby. Yeah. The animals that tend to live at these depths are responding to pressure by becoming softer rather than becoming harder or becoming more defensive or something. They simply become softer. Right. I think there's something philosophical in there. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's something like adapting to pressure by becoming softer rather than harder. There's something there. I'll meditate on it.
I believe Queen and David Bowie put some thought onto this.
That's true. Yeah, on their Bowie et al. So the bigfin squid is named for their massive stabilizing fins. So if you look at a more sort of typical squid, the stabilizing fins are the two flaps at the top of the mantle. They're the things that give the squid the sort of like arrowhead shape.
Sure.
You know what I mean? There's these two sort of like lobes. Those are the stabilizing fins. And in a squid, those are used to sort of steer them in the water. They use them kind of like wings to steer them like a missile through the water. Okay. So on these squids, they look like Dumbo ears. They are enormous. Huh. They like billow out to the sides, and as they're, they like to stay upright in the water column, and they just sort of slowly undulate these like massive fins. So, and they're just billowy. It looks like a cape or something like that. It is really, really cool to see. And this is probably just to give them better stability so that they can stay upright, which is their preferred feeding position. Now, I feel like the name bigfin squid it's burying the lead, because the most attention-grabbing characteristic of these squids is not, in fact, their big fins.
Sure.
Like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's fine. But it's not what I'm looking at when I see the squid. Uh-huh. The most attention-grabbing characteristic of these squids are their, frankly, Lovecraftian limbs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen a picture of them recently?
Yeah, the big noodly tentacle.
Not only are they noodly. Hold on, let me show you a picture, because I feel like maybe it's been a while since you've seen them.
But like they go out sideways, straight, and then bloop. Yeah.
Yes. So they have these distinct sort of elbow-like shapes. They look almost spider-like. It gives them this spidery, almost crab-like sort of look, which is really not what you expect from a squid. So it looks very strange. It looks like their legs are splayed out and jointed, and then just dangle after that. Right, so like it is so bizarre. So like other squids, they have 8 arms and 2 tentacles. So in most squids, the arms and the tentacles look very, very different. The 8 arms are much shorter, and they have suction cups the entire length. So that's kind of like the little skirt of like shorter arms around the squid. Those are the arms. And then the tentacles are much longer, and they only have suction cups at the end on this little club shape. Yeah. So if you think of Squidward from SpongeBob, his hands, those would be the tentacles. So this is another thing that really sets Magna pinna apart from most squids. All 10 of their limbs are basically identical. So they've lost the differentiation between arm and tentacle. Like, they've all become the same. Okay. So in most other squids, there's a clear difference between arm and tentacle, but in these, they're all the same. And that's mostly because they use all of their limbs for the exact same purpose. So all of the limbs have just converged on this one sort of form. So all 10 limbs are held splayed out from the base of the mantle in a T-pose. Let's call it what it is. They're T-posing.
A 360 T-pose.
It is really a complete around-the-clock T-pose.
So is there any kind of hard structure making that like right angle turn?
There's not. No. Here's what it is. Each limb, both the arms and the tentacles, ends in what's called a terminal filament. So this is basically a sort of like fleshy appendage, like a really, really like a giant spaghetti noodle that just dangles from the tip of the limb. So if you imagine that maybe from like the tips of your fingers, you had spaghetti noodles growing out of just the very, very tip of your finger.
Oh.
If you hold your hand up and splay your fingers out, it's going to make a right angle where the noodles are just falling from your fingertips, right? Because they're just dangling.
Yeah.
That's why it creates that like sharp turn. It's just because the filaments are just dangling below the body. It's kind of like the squid is holding 10 fishing poles, and each one just has a line just dangling from it down into the bottom.
So tell me how these fishing lines work.
So a lot of this is not totally understood.
Oh, okay.
Because there have been very few observations of them in the wild, and nobody, I think, has seen them feed before. Like, nobody's seen them actually, like, grab their food. Because usually when you do see one, it's going to swim away. Like, it's going to get startled and swim away. And we haven't gotten to see that yet. So there are just hypotheses about how they're using these filaments. So the most common hypothesis is that they feed not by actively chasing prey down, but by either dredging. So, like, they're just kind of scraping their filaments along the seafloor and just pulling up whatever they come across. Like, if they brush up against something that's alive, they pull it up. Like, I'm imagining a jellyfish, right? That might be like when the filament hits up against something it wants, it just contracts and coils and pulls it up into the body.
I'm just so curious at what kind of speed would this occur at for this animal?
Not lightning fast or anything like that. It's not like a spring loaded or anything. It has to kind of contract for a while. So it could be either dredging off of the bottom, or it could be ensnaring unsuspecting prey as it swims by, which is a little bit more like a jellyfish or a spider web. And this one is the one that makes the most sense to me, because there are a lot of videos of bigfin squid in their like feeding, foraging position, nowhere near the bottom. They're like just through the sort of general abyss, I guess. So I think if they're supposed to be dredging stuff up from the bottom, we would see them at the bottom a lot more, but they seem to just do it through the water.
In my mind, I like to imagine them just slowly rotating, like in the water, to make like a 8-part helix, basically.
That would be so, like when people like tape toilet paper to their ceiling fan blades and turn it on.
Basically, yeah.
That would be way cooler than what they are doing, which is nothing. They just kind of hit a default stance and then just do that forever until they find some food.
I sure hope something tasty swims by.
Yeah, they're just hoping that something happens upon them and just like wanders into their filaments. So when the filaments seem to be very, very sticky. So at least when something brushes up against them, they can latch onto it, and then they pull it up, probably into the beak, which, if you don't know very much about squid anatomy, the beak is right in the middle of all of their legs. It's like a crotch mouth.
It does still, I guess, elicit the jellyfish or perhaps siphonophore imagery.
It is very jellyfish to me. It is an interesting convergent evolution.
Yeah.
I feel like it's what do you call it? It's jellyfish software on squid hardware.
I wonder if it runs into other things like that. What happens then?
Well, you know what it runs into?
What?
ROVs.
Oh.
This is why I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10, because the filaments are very sticky. And a lot of times they seem to sometimes work against the squid, because in a lot of the observations that there are videos of, the squid's filaments get stuck to the ROV. Or it gets stuck on something else, and then like a current just causes it to get twisted and tangled up in its own filaments. And like it just seems like it just is such an encumbrance. Like it really starts to work against the squid. And also in a lot of observations, they're missing filaments, or all of the filaments are different lengths because they just keep getting yanked off, which at least they break off easily, right? Like at least it's not the sort of thing where like you can like drag the whole thing down by the filament. It would just snap off.
Do you think they get tangled into each other?
To each other?
Yeah.
Maybe. Nobody's seen how they nobody has any idea how they reproduce. So maybe. Who knows? It reminds me of that the thing from The Incredibles when the designer Edna Mode is like, "No capes."
Oh, yeah.
And then it's revealed why she said no capes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm looking at this thing like, maybe you got a little too much going on. But that's the thing, when you're in the bottom of the ocean, you could go months without ever crossing paths with another living organism, you know? Like, how often is that going to come up?
Right.
Like, I feel like if there was anywhere on Earth you could get away with having 20-foot long filaments dangling off of your limbs, it would be the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
It's the only place where you could get away with stuff like that.
Make an interesting tree creature, though.
What do you mean?
Like something sitting in a tree that has like 20-foot long appendages hanging down to the forest floor.
Hold on. I have to write that down. Bigfin.
It's like a vine monster.
Squid, but tree? Question mark? I'll come back to that later. All right. That's going to be a fun note for me to come back to in 6 months and be like, what did I mean by this?
Why would you put this in a tree?
So there have also been some videos of Magnapenna squids where they appear to be, like, there are descriptions of them in air quotes, walking along the sea floor, where they're just above the sea floor and the filaments are kind of like making contact with the bottom in such a way where it kind of looks like they're walking. First of all, they just don't have the sort of musculature for that.
Right.
Like, that's just, I don't think they have the hydrostatic sort of pressure in their like filaments to support any amount of weight. So I think what looks like it's happening is, whether by accident or not, the squid just accidentally got stuck on something on the bottom. And is see, that's the thing. I don't know if maybe it was intentionally trying to anchor itself onto the bottom for some reason. Maybe it was just an accident that it was trying to untangle itself from, or just couldn't get free from. Right. But it doesn't look like it's walking. But I saw a lot of articles about these squids that described their movement as walking on the seafloor, and I would lean away from describing it like that, because that's just not what's happening. Let's take a quick break to hear from our friends on the Maximum Fun Network, and then we'll get to ingenuity and aesthetics for Bigfin Squids.
I'm Emily Fleming.
I'm Jordan Morris.
And I'm Matt Lee.
We are real comedy writers.
Real friends.
And real cheapskates.
On every episode of our podcast, Free with Ads, we ask, why pay for expensive streaming services when you can get free movies from apps with weird names?
Each week, we review the freest movies the internet has to offer. Classics like Pride and Prejudice.
Cult classics like Point Break.
And holy what did I just watch? Classics like Teen Witch.
Tune in every week as we take a deep dive into the internet's bargain bin.
Every Tuesday on MaximumFun.org or your favorite pod place.
The Flophouse is a podcast where we watch a bad movie and then we talk about it.
Robert Shaw in Jaws, and they're trying to figure out how to get rid of the ghoulies, and he scratches his nails and goes, I'll get your ghoulie.
He's just standing above the toilet with a harpoon. No, I was just looking forward to you going through the other ways in which Wild Wild West is historically inaccurate.
You know how much movies cost nowadays when you add in your popcorn and your bagel bites and your cheese fritters?
You can't go wrong with a Henry Cavill mustache. Here at Henry Cavill Mustaches, the only supplier.
The Flophouse. New episodes every Saturday. Find it at MaximumFun.org.
The next category that we rate animals on is ingenuity, which are behavioral adaptations, things the animal is doing with their body to survive, thrive, navigate their environment. I'm giving them a 3 out of 10, which feels generous, because what are you doing down there? Every video of them, they're just like completely unmoving, unflinching, unresponsive to the world, and they just sort of drift past view.
Yeah, it's like they just kind of found themselves down there and no one told them not to. So.
We're like, okay, I guess. The points that I can give them for it, the T-pose, so the reason why they hold all of their limbs splayed out like that is probably the squid's way of trying to keep the filaments as far apart as possible. So that's probably serving to both maximize their opportunities for bumping into something, right? You're just covering as much ground as you can.
Yeah.
The more you spread out, the more chance you have at finding something. But also trying to keep them from getting tangled, which anyone who's ever tried to like go fishing off of a pier or something, if you're in like a popular fishing spot, you know, this is, you got to try to keep those lines separate.
Yeah.
So that's why they're doing that. That's why they hold their sort of legs out like that in this sort of starfish shape. It's to keep them from getting tangled up. So part of the reason why I gave them such a low score for ingenuity is that in a lot of the video observations I found of them, they appeared to be either laughably slow to respond or didn't respond at all. to like being disturbed, right? Even if the ROV like bumped up against them or, you know, got in their limbs or something. Like it took a lot to get them to even register a presence near them. Maybe it's because of the sort of thing that happens with like island animals where they become so used to there being no predators in their area that like things don't register as a threat to them because they're like, if you're down here in this trench, it's probably not going to hurt me because nothing that can survive down here can hurt me.
Right, yeah.
Why would I need to like escape from anything?
Or maybe their metabolism is such that they're just not usually, they don't have the processor at 100% all the time.
Yeah, well, we see that a lot with deep sea animals too, right? Is that because it can be so long in between your opportunities for food, you're just kind of on power saving mode, like 99% of the time. Like most of your processes are not actively going. You're just kind of like in hibernate mode or something. So yeah, maybe it just takes them a minute to sort of like wake up from that. They can actively swim. Like they do a lot of drifting, but they can, you know, actively swim the way that other squids do. Although they're very bad at it.
Probably lots of drag, I would imagine.
Yeah, like they're so clumsy. They're very weak swimmers. They're kind of slow. Most other squids can like propel themselves through the water by like sucking water into the mantle and then shooting it back out. And they seemed like they were like trying to do that, but it didn't seem like it was working. So they might just be really, really bad at it. Like that ability has just atrophied in them because they don't need it very often. So they're just really, really weak swimmers. They can go kind of fast, but not that fast. I found this YouTube video, and this is a really popular YouTube video. It has millions of views, and it shows some ROV footage of a Magnapinna squid, and it is like swimming very frantically. It is like moving as fast as it can.
Yeah.
And the video's text calls it like aggressive, calls it an attack. It's very clickbaity. It's basically like describing Magnapinna as like formidable predators and saying that like, oh, this evidence challenges everything scientists know about Bigfin squid. Basically like, oh, we thought they were just like drifting and catching prey like passively, but this video shows that they're actually like menacing predators.
If you yourself are a piece of floating tiny prey.
Literally, it's probably like marine snow, like microscopic.
Yeah.
First of all, their beak is very, very tiny.
It's little.
Their beak they have the tiniest little beak. So small. So like they wouldn't even be able to eat anything larger than like, I don't know, probably like a copepod or something like very, very, very small things, very small fish, you know, things like that. Also, the squid does just appear to be flailing, and like its arms are getting tangled up. Like if it is attacking, it's doing a really bad job. Like it is really not a graceful sight. This poor thing is just like wiggling and flailing to get away. And also, this is like from an ROV, so the squid seems like it's trying to get away from the ROV.
Yeah. You know what? Not to bring us back to SpongeBob, but you know what this reminds me of?
What?
Is where Plankton is on a Krabby Patty that has legs, and he says, "Time to shift into maximum overdrive." And it's barely moving. So,
well, it's funny because it seems like the squid has like an arm accidentally got like stuck to the ROV, and it's just panicking. Like it's just like trying to get away. And then it seems like maybe there's some like current from like the propellers of the ROV that's kind of like making it get all twisted up and tangled and stuff. So like, to me, it's like, imagine if you like tripped on your shoelaces and you just like absolutely wiped out on the sidewalk, and then like you get home later and you find that like there's a video going viral that's like you tripping and like completely eating it on the sidewalk, but it's titled like, "This changes everything we know about humans."
Your hands were sticky from like a popsicle and you're stuck.
Look at this formidable predator's aggressive attack. That seems to be a lot of what the Bigfin squid is doing, which, you know, because of their sort of general vibe and appearance, I think, and this goes back to like way back. One of our first episodes is about the vampire squid. And this is the same thing. I feel like it's a creature that looks like everything we find spooky and scary about deep sea stuff. But they're so not a threat at all. They couldn't do anything to you if they wanted to.
Right.
A lot of stuff in the deep sea is like that. Like, it looks spooky and it looks scary and intimidating, but like they're like 95% water. They're like soft bodied and flabby. They don't have they could not do anything to you. Like they just look spooky.
And I guess just because it's usually very alien to us.
Right. Yeah, because it looks so like unnatural and unfamiliar to us, then we think it must be scary.
See, that's why I think trying to guess what it would be like to find extraterrestrial life, we could probably model based off how we react to finding things at the bottom of the ocean.
Right. We get so scared of it. Well, on the topic of, their scary looking appearance, the final category we rate animals on is aesthetics, and I'm giving them a 10 out of 10.
Really?
I think they are beautiful. They are spooky. They are ethereal. They're the sort of incomprehensible look. Like at first, where like I remember the first time I saw that video we were talking about when I was like a teenager, and I must have watched this video 30 times because I was like, who is she? They just look so different from everything else in the world. Right? That you just like can't really look away from it. I wonder if it's that novelty seeking thing in the brain that's like, I've never seen anything like this. I have to stare at this some more.
Yeah.
On first glance, I think they don't even look like an animal when you first see them. They look, you know what they look like to me?
What?
A bacteriophage. Like those viruses that look like a robot?
Oh, yeah.
Where they've got like the little spider legs and then like a little like rock at the top or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they look like to me. You know what I mean?
I could see it. Yeah.
The lower part of the body reminds me a lot of the heptapods also from Arrival.
Oh.
Yeah. I realized that as I was doing my notes for this, we saw the movie Arrival in theaters, and I haven't rewatched it since. And I realized that in retrospect, my imagination was filling in a lot of my memory with Bigfin Squids.
Oh, geez.
Because in my memory, they look exactly like Bigfin Squids. Like exactly like them. And I was like, oh, that must be what they were based on. And then I like Googled what the heptapods from Arrival looked like, and they really don't look that much like them to me.
For me, it's Reapers from Mass Effect.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like my placeholder for them in that movie are just...
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, I could see that. That's kind of what they look like to me. Now, okay, so as we mentioned earlier, the most famous footage of a Magnapinna squid was captured in 2007. And that was captured by an ROV that was operated by the Shell Oil Company at the Perdido drilling site in the Gulf of Mexico. So this was just kind of accidental footage. They weren't even looking for organisms. This was like the guidance monitor on like an ROV that they were using to like do some maintenance or something on this oil rig.
Right.
So they weren't even really looking for like life, but the unintentional cinematography on this video, you couldn't have directed a better shot if you tried.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, if you've never seen it, the feed is from an ROV's guidance monitor, so it's covered in little data points and like numbers. So it's like you've got a little heads up display with like a depth indicator and like little numbers and beeps and boops that are like changing. So already looks like cool sci-fi stuff.
Right.
And the entire frame has this green hue. So like the abyss of the ocean is this really, really dark green, but then there's this eerie bright green glow from the ROV light. So fantastic. Love it. It's Fallout. It's like everything is spooky green alien. Ooh, spooky. Yeah. So eerie green glow, dark green background. And so at first you see sort of in the background and like from a distance, this incomprehensible alien creature. And you see it kind of quickly and it's in the background. It's far enough away so that you can't see any details. It's enough for your brain to go, what am I looking at?
Right.
Like it immediately grabs your attention because you're like, it's so spooky looking. And then the camera operator, bless his heart, tries to zoom in on it and get it in frame.
Yeah.
And this camera must be like operated with like arrow keys or something like that, because it can only move like up, down, left, right. It can't move in diagonals or anything.
Yeah.
So you see this camera operator just desperately try to like zoom in correctly and then aim the camera, but it keeps overshooting. So like you keep just seeing this like whoosh, like this, just like a corner of its body just whizzes by on screen. So you just get those little tantalizing like teases of it.
Yeah.
You see little pieces of it, which is what they do in horror movies. Like they do, this is like exactly what they do in horror movies. You get just a glimpse of it, where it's like not enough for you to really understand what you're looking at.
Right.
So you get these little glimpses of it as the camera operator is trying to get it in frame, and then finally they get the whole thing in frame. Well, it's too long for you to get the whole thing in frame, but they get like the body of it in frame.
Yeah.
And you see it just like drifting past, but like I mentioned, those stabilizing fins are sort of like slowly undulating, and it gives it just this, it's like enough movement to it that you can tell that it's alive and conscious and moving, but so foreign looking that you're like, what am I? Is this an animal?
Right.
Like, what is this? And so eventually, bless this camera operator, because they had the good sense to like start zooming out and panning down so that you could see how far down the filaments go. Because at first, in that first shot, all you see is these filaments just trailing down into the abyss, which is it's so good. It's great. It's a fantastic video. And it's only like 30 seconds long.
Right.
It's a very, very short little glimpse. So apparently what had happened was, they get this video, and then for like a year, it stayed internal at Shell, like at the Shell oil company,
right,
where like people within the company were like emailing this video around themselves. Everyone's asking, what is this? Like, they were like, what did we see down here? People are like so spooked by it. And then eventually they shared it with, like, I don't know, the Smithsonian or something, and they were able to get an ID on it, and then eventually got published, by National Geographic, and now everybody knows this video. It's by far the most famous video if you've seen a Bigfin squid ever, you've probably seen this video.
I wonder if they were trying to keep it hush-hush in case it was going to be something that disrupted their drilling.
Oh, well, it's funny you say that, because while there is no conservation status for Bigfin squid, it's not only because it's a large group, but also because just not very much is known about the deep sea ecosystem. A lot of companies tend to treat the bottom of the ocean like free real estate, because it tends to have a lot of mineral deposits from things like hydrothermal vents, and also you can drill for oil down there. There's this assumption that there's little to no life at these depths, that there's just nothing down there. It's just sand and nothing else. But Magnapinna squids are a really good example of how not only is there life down there, but there's enough life to make up a food chain.
Right.
And a food chain that can support a squid. A squid is like an apex predator, right? Like it's an entire ecosystem that can support predators like this. So that's enough to show you that like it's alive down there. There's life, and there's a whole biome down there. So think back all the way back at the beginning of the episode, the shipwreck dive that I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
This is a quote from an article in Hakai magazine about that dive. And this was written by Chris Baraniuk. And this was titled, "Behold the Deepest Dwelling Squid Known to Science." And this article came out in December of 2021. Footage of the wreck from the USS Johnston has left Jameson, and this is referring to Alan Jameson, who is a deep sea researcher from the University of Western Australia, has left Jameson with similar concerns. Though the trench plowed by the stricken ship was made 77 years ago, quote, "It looks like it came down yesterday," he says. There are signs of sea life in nearby sediment, but not within the gouge itself, suggesting that when the sea floor at such depths is disturbed, as it would be during mining operations, it can repel marine organisms for decades. Finding a squid so deep suggests that there is a lot to protect in these poorly understood reaches. Jameson, for one, says he is always trying to challenge the perception that the deepest parts of the ocean are devoid of life. I think that sort of like little tidbit that gets mentioned a lot with the deep sea, which is like we have more of the moon mapped than we have of the deep sea, I think forces the comparison, or like forces people to think of the deep sea as something like the moon, which is lifeless and has no life on it, to our knowledge. And I think that makes people extrapolate and think, well, there must just be nothing down there. Or if it is down there, it's not important, right? So I think the Bigfin Squid is a good reminder that there are things down there. And you look at things like the Dumbo octopus, which is like, that's a cute little guy, right? There's cute little guys down there.
True. Did you happen to run across if anything eats them?
Eats Bigfin Squid?
Yes, like specifically, or?
I think because while I've kind of focused on like the Hadal zone, that's not to say that they wouldn't be found higher up, but I think that just because they live so deep in the ocean, that very little would be down there to eat them. Maybe a particularly deep diving fish, or like, I struggle to think of anything that would like try to eat them.
Makes sense.
Maybe, you know, it would have to be something that could survive that deep.
Yeah, of course.
Which is very, very little. So yeah, I mean, while yes, the bottom of the ocean is very otherworldly and mysterious, and we know very little about it, and what we do know about it is really weird. It is bizarre, and it is strange, and it is difficult to relate to, right? It's hard for us to see them as being like us, or see them as belonging to our planet. But that doesn't mean that it's not alive and just as much a part of our world as any other biome. So don't do a deep sea mining.
Don't do it.
Don't do a mining, I guess. But you know, just it's a good reminder that like even things that appear to us to be scary and threatening and intimidating and spooky looking and everything, when you learn about them a little bit more, you realize there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, they're not the beasts lurking in the horrors below, you know. Really just, they're only horrors because we don't really know that much about them, and your mind tends to fill in blanks with fear. So that's the Bigfin Squid.
Well, thanks, babe.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. Thank you all for spending this time with us. I really appreciate it. If you liked what you heard today, I would love it if you left behind some kind words for us in a review on your podcast app of choice. Like Lomo47, who wrote, really fun way to learn about animals and hear awesome banter.
Yay.
Thank you so much. If you want to come hang out with us online, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, and Blue Sky. Links to everything will be in the episode description. And we would like to thank Maximum Fun for having us on their network alongside the other amazing shows that they've got, like the ones that you heard promos for earlier during this episode. If you want to learn more about the network and the other shows and how you can be a part of supporting our show, plus get access to our exclusive monthly bonus episodes, we just did one on Star Wars.
Yes.
We talked for like an hour and a half about Star Wars. So if you want to go hear us talk about Star Wars, head over to MaximumFun.org. And finally, we'd like to thank Louis Zong for our theme music, which is really great and amazing.
It sure is.
And that's all for us today. We'll see you next week. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.